What up, boys? With all the news dropping today, I thought I would have you guys covered in everything we know now about the game coming out this July. In today's video, guys, I am bringing you the top 10 new leaks and changes that we know about EA College Football 25. And if you have not done so already, fellas, make sure you're subscribed to the channel where we're covering everything you need to know about EA College Football coming this July. And the first thing we know, fellas, and I swear it's not a clickbaity thumbnail, is that we are not going to have Road to Glory as we once knew it. Will there be a Road to Glory mode? Yes. It's not going to be how we once knew it. It's not going to be that high school experience, getting the offers, which for me, that was a huge part of the game. For me, it was playing all different kinds of positions, racking up those stats in high school, seeing the offers come in, and then just making the decision of where I'm going to go to college. I'm going to try to give EA the benefit of the doubt here, and hopefully there's some sort of precursor type format where that's going to lead us to making a decision for college. But from what we know, there is going to be no high school experience in EA College Football, which was upsetting because I was not only hoping for that, but I was hoping for an extensive high school experience, something about your junior year into your senior year, then finally making your decision to go to college. Allegedly, there is going to be more in-depth aspect to Road to Glory in college, so there's going to be more decisions to be made of how you're going to allocate your time. I'm assuming this is going to be very similar to how much time allocation you're going to have for like when you're dealing with recruits in Dynasty Mode. From every creator we've heard of that was at the reveal, apparently it's going to be an amazing game, and I don't doubt that. I am confident the gameplay is going to be dope, but I'd be lying to you guys if I didn't say this is the first like real gut punch I've had from like EA. It's no deal breaker for me. Obviously, I'm still going to play the game. I'm still super excited, but everything up to this point had me really excited about the game. Having no high school experience is the first real like slap in the face to me, and you know, some people can deal with a slap in the face, some can't, so do with that information what you will. This is the first thing that I wanted to know on this new thing that we now know about the game, and that's a huge change for me, huge change for everyone that's super passionate about Road to Glory. But I can only hope that the gameplay reveal and the news and notes that are coming for the game are going to be even more exciting. I know this is going to frustrate a lot of people. Number 2, fellas, it is that music is confirmed in the game, and it's going to come with some caveats because there's a couple of songs that are not in the game that were the two most that I was looking forward to. First one not in the game is Enter Sandman to Virginia Tech, and I think that is one of the most upsetting things in the world. Enter Sandman is probably the coolest entrance in college football. That's not going to be in the game. They didn't get the licensing rights to that from Metallica, which is kind of upsetting. And the other one that I was looking forward to is also part of the thumbnail. It's also the home state where I live in, Wisconsin. You know, jump around is huge. That's not going to be in the game, which is one of the more upsetting things as well. The jump around theme song between the third and fourth quarter is not going to be in the game. I'm sure there's going to be some sort of pageantry thing, and we're going to dive more into what that's going to look like later. That's going to be in between the third and fourth quarters at Camp Randall, but for now, there is going to be no jump around or Enter Sandman. However, there are confirmed songs that will be in the game. For example, Mo Bamba will be in college football, and that's really exciting. When you watch that, like there's a clip of Penn State, Michigan going at it, and Mo Bamba's playing as Michigan State in the field. I think that's super electric. We're gonna have Tsunami, we're gonna have Sandstorm, and we're gonna have Zombie Nation. Those are 4 confirmed songs that we know for sure. I'm sure we're gonna get more details of that as news drops, but for now, the only thing we know is that music is confirmed. They did get licensing rights for certain music. However, my 2 favorite, Enter Sandman and Jump Around, will not be part of the game, which gay! It's fine, I guess. Again, not a deal breaker, but another kind of gut punch from EA. But again, I know those 2 fan bases, the Wisconsin fan base and the Virginia Tech fan base, and people that just love college football in general, are going to be kind of frustrated with that decision as well. Next thing we also know, guys, is that Pro Football Focus is going to be doing the ratings for every single player that's in the game. From people that have played the game and EA themselves, they have confirmed that ratings are going to matter in this game more than ever in a football game, because this year matchups on a one-on-one basis are much more important. Obviously, there's a big discrepancy in college football versus their best athletes versus the worst athletes on the opposing team. In the NFL, they're the best of the best, right? So there can't be a big discrepancy in like a receiver and a DB. And Pro Football Focus has been the company in charge of running that task and making sure that the ratings are right for every single college football player. So this is all going to come down to how you feel about Pro Football Focus and the way they do the rankings. Throughout my experience growing up and just looking at Pro Football Focus and following them on Twitter, I've always been a big fan of of Pro Football Focus. I think it's always been probably the most accurate. And if you look at like their preseason rankings, the way they rank drafts, I've always thought they've done a nice job. You're gonna find your hiccups and your things that you're dislikes with them, but we will see. All we know right now is that Pro Football Focus will be in charge of the ratings, and I personally think they do a great job. Another thing that was confirmed, guys, and that we kind of knew were coming were custom playbooks, custom audibles, and the stadium meter. We kind of figured those were coming, guys, but those have officially been confirmed. Custom playbooks, so you're gonna be able to go in there and tailor a playbook exactly how you want it. I think this is gonna be especially important when you create like your own coach on Dynasty Mode. I love doing dynasties with the playbooks of each team already included, but you know, if I want to do like a storyline with just my own personal coach and my own flavor of football, then I can bring my own playbook. I think that's gonna be very cool to just bring a custom playbook that I created for my specific coach. It's gonna be traveling from OC, from team to team, until eventually he gets a head coaching job, and then I can put my own playbooks and schemes into that team that I head coach as well. Custom audibles is something that kind of has been there before, right? We've always been able to like adjust what audibles we have if you take time to put that into a playbook. We've seen what custom audibles looks like, and they're very effective if you know exactly what kind of plays you want to run. That's something that's always, you know, kind of been there in Madden. I've used it before, but definitely something that I think is going to be a little bit different and newer for NCAA football. Being able to change that into your custom own playbooks with your custom audibles should add a lot of player control to the game, which I think is huge, because then I think it puts the football knowledge of each player to the test. And if you can out scheme and out coach your opponent, I think that would be huge. And I think that's going to be one of the most exciting things for me in the game, at least. And the other one, guys, obviously we already knew this, is going to be the stadium meter. The stadium meter was there in the past in NCAA 14. We've seen kind of glimpses of it in Madden with momentum, but stadium meter will be back. You're going to have the 25 loudest places to play. You're going to be having a meter that's going to tell you how loud your stadium is being, and it's definitely going to rattle your players. One thing that they're adding that I think is going to be super crazy, and I don't know if this has happened before, but I know in Madden sometimes they used to like block out what button a certain player is, and I know sometimes that can trip you up. Sometimes if you're, you know, if you're a veteran player, that doesn't really trip you up because you kind of know what button a player is. But if they're halfway through a route and they're kind of meshing routes, it kind of can mess with you if you're looking at a player and it doesn't tell you what button they are. So I know that's happened to me before. I don't know if that's the level that's going to be incorporated into the stadium meter for EA College Football, but it has been confirmed that players will mess up in terms of when you're trying to audible and there's a loud stadium, which I think is a crazy cool feature that they're adding to the game, right? So if a stadium is really loud and you have a freshman in and you're trying to motion him in, there's a high chance that he's going to mess up because one, he can't hear, two, he doesn't really know the playbook as much as a veteran player. That stuff is just huge for me. I'm really excited about that. That's going to be a cool, nice touch, and I can't wait to see how that plays out. That, again, that gameplay reveal is coming shortly, guys, so be on the lookout. I think it might be coming tomorrow from the day I'm recording this video, but we will find out about that specific feature in short time. Another thing that people have been asking about a lot is FCS teams, right? Are they going to be in the game? Or how are the FCS teams going to be included? NDSU, you know, perennial national champion, how are they going to be included? Jackson State, HBCUs. FCS teams will not be in this game at launch. There's been rumors that they might be able to be added in a DLC format, but I do not know how a game that gets released year over year will have a DLC just for FCS teams. I can definitely just see this being a thing that they do in the future. Maybe, you know, down the road, a couple years from now, a couple editions of the game from now, they finally add FCS teams and it's going to be a big selling point for them. But currently FCS teams are not in the game. You're going to have your generic FCS West, East, Southwest, North, Midwest FCS teams that are just going to be generically, and they're similar to how they were in NCAA 14 if you ever played those titles. I don't know if they're going to have name, image, and likeness. They might be just generically made. They might actually pull those players. I do not know. I'm assuming they're just going to be generically made names if they're going to have names on the back of the jerseys of the players you're actually using in an FBS team. Another question people have been asking is, are you going to be able to export draft classes from EA College Football into Madden? You're not going to be able to export your draft classes in EA College Football into Madden. I know that's going to hurt a lot of people that love to play franchise mode and bring actual image and likeness from college players into the game. I know you've waited for a lot of downloaded mods in the past and you thought there was going to be a nice, efficient way to do it now, but allegedly there's some licensing issues that EA has. Allegedly, they can't get players' image and likeness from the NFL, only from their college likeness, which I don't know how that works. But I think Madden would then have to buy their image and likeness to have them in the game, similar to how they do with the draft guys that they put into MUT. So we're still gonna have to rely on some modding people to create the draft classes for us. However, there is some news there that is going to be somewhat good. You are going to be able to export your Road to Glory player into Madden directly and continue him in some sort of superstar format in Madden 25. So just to reiterate, guys, there is going to be no exporting of draft classes into Madden from college football, but there will be a Road to Glory player that you can transfer into Madden 25, and I'm glad that's fine. finally confirmed for the community that loves transferring that Road to Glory player into Madden. Another thing that we know now for sure, fellas, is that there is going to be no NIL in Dynasty mode. This means it's going to be heavily relying on you recruiting players out of high school or the transfer portal. Allegedly, the transfer portal is going to be more in depth and more realistic, and getting those players is going to put you at a dilemma as a coach. Do you want to recruit in the transfer portal, or do you want to get your own players out of high school? And each of them are going to have to weigh the balance and benefits of it. I'm sure that there's going to be some pros and cons to getting players from each side. Obviously, if you get a guy that's from the transfer portal, his rating is going to be a little bit higher, ready to go, versus if you get your own guy, but then he more prone to not learning your offense, not knowing the plays, things like that. I'm sure there's going to be some sort of pros and cons into each of the recruiting styles. Obviously, you can recruit your own players. I know there's coaches in college right now that are getting heat for not going into the transfer portal, but maybe it all depends how you want to build your program. So it's good to know that they're going to be adding more in-depth feel to the transfer portal, and we're not going to have to deal with all the NIL stuff. And the big reason is that NIL is always changing. The developers and leaders at EA did not know how much the NIL landscape was going to change over the next year or two while they're developing this game, so they didn't want to build something into the game that was not set in stone. Obviously, NIL news is changing every day. There is new stipulations that just came down from the NCAA, which I don't really know what that means for college football. It sounds like colleges are going to be able to pay players directly without having contracts through some sort of name, image, and likeness deals. I don't know how that's going to work. I'm sure there's going to be more clear-cut things of how that's going to work out moving forward, but that's what we know right now, and EA did not want to dangle with that until there's something set in stone that they can build into the game. Another great exciting news there, guys, is that their passing mechanics is different. Every single player that went to the EA gameplay reveal and played a little bit of the game has said that the passing mechanics feel a lot different than Madden. And for me, that is great news because Madden sometimes feels a little weird, iffy when it comes to passing. I'm excited to see new passing mechanics and new passing formats because I think the college game is a lot different and does feel a lot different when teams pass. A quarterback in college is a lot more accurate than when they get to the NFL. For example, look at Tim Tebow. For some reason, Tim Tebow looked like a quarterback god in college, and he didn't look terribly bad at throwing the ball. But then you put him in the NFL, and it was like, dude couldn't make the right throws when he needed to unless it was the fourth quarter. Big shout out. I was a huge fan of that Broncos run back in the day. There's a lot of players in college that can look really good throwing the football that are not going to translate exactly over great to the NFL. And I think having different passing mechanics between the games and having a different feel is going to be huge. Obviously, we already know that the gameplay is going to feel wider, the gameplay is going to feel faster, but knowing that the passing mechanics are also going to be different is huge. I think it's just going to add to the feel of how the game actually feels different from Madden, which I know there's still a lot of people for some weird reason that think it's going to be a Madden reskin, and I think everyone that actually played the game has come out and said it is not a reskin. But I mean, I guess people keep saying what they want until the end of this earth because that's what they want to believe. So I'm excited for the new passing mechanics and the sounds of it, but we cannot confirm or nor deny how awesome it is until we actually get our hands on the game. Another thing that they're switching up, guys, for you football geeks is the way they're running the read options. So obviously, if you know anything about football, when you're running a read option where the quarterback's either handing it off or keeping it, it is more than likely that you're going to hand off the ball. Even the coaches will tell you, when in doubt, just hand it off, dude. Like, you don't want to be messing with an exchange and just getting blown up. Especially, it's a much better feeling as a coach to have your freaking running back destroyed versus your quarterback destroyed, because there's not a lot of solutions that you can have without a good starting quarterback. So they're always looking to protect the quarterback. So they're always telling the guys, make sure when in doubt, you just hand that ball off. So they're switching that in EA College Football, which is awesome because it's more realistic. Instead of now holding A or X to hand off the ball while the guy's standing over there, it's going to be an automatic handoff, and you're going to have to tap or hold A or X and get around that defensive end if he's crashing for that running back. So it's really cool that they're adding that level of detail to the game because it's much more realistic for us football nerds that actually watch football and know how those quarterback running back exchanges actually go. And finally, guys, the last thing we know is that there's going to be some sort of picture-in-picture format for EA College Football in between plays. This is going to add to the pageantry and the feel of each game because it's going to be different based on each team. So for example, if you get a turnover and you're going back on offense, while you're switching the play, you're going to see some sort of turnover chain, some sort of turnover celebration specific to each team. Whether there's a tradition, whether there's something that each done at each different stadium, there's going to be some sort of tradition specific to each team that's going to be happening between play selections. This is going to be great because as you're playing the game, you're not losing the feel of college football. You're feeling that pageantry aspect, and they're really adding the details. So not only are you seeing it in the introductions of each game, but you're also feeling it as you're playing the middle of the game, right? There's going to be some sort of picture-in-picture format that they're going to help add to that feel. You're going to be able to see around the stadium while you're doing your play selection. And especially if you're playing online, you're going to have to be waiting for some other person to pick their play. So it's going to be great. But actually, rule number one when you're playing Madden, if you're on defense, always wait for the other guy to pick their play so then you can see at least their formation. But we'll dive into those tips later, guys. But make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, guys, because with all the news coming out every single day, today in the coming weeks for the release of EA College Football, I am going to have you guys covered with everything you need to know. I know there is gameplay news right around the corner. I think it might be coming tomorrow from the recording of this video, so make sure you subscribe where I'm going to have you covered with everything we know from each of those reveals. And if you haven't heard already, guys, we're on the road to 10,000 subscribers, so make sure you sub to the channel because we are going to be doing giveaways. First at 5K and then at 10K, where we're going to be giving away copies of EA College Football 25. And if you want to learn more about what's coming to EA College Football 25, check out this video where I go over every single new team that's coming to the game that was not there in NCAA 14. And remember, boys, nice guys finish first, and God bless. Peace.